Today we're going to work on evaluating functions and finding x values. And so this is going to be expanding our knowledge of function notation that we talked about earlier. And so if we're looking at this, we have find f of 3 if f of x equals 2x squared minus 3. This number inside the parentheses, this f of 3, is asking us to evaluate f of x equals 2x squared minus 3 if x equals 3. This number inside the parentheses is going to tell us what we're supposed to be substituting in for x. This number inside the parentheses is exactly the same place where this variable is. So that means everywhere we see an x, we're going to substitute in 3. So that means that f of 3, instead of saying x, we're going to substitute in that 3. We would have 2, again, instead of saying x, we're going to plug in 3 squared minus 3. And then we're doing the math for this. So 3 squared is 9, and 9 times 2 is 18. Minus 3 gives us 15 as our answer. So f of 3 is 15, because if we evaluate this function for x equals 3, that's what this means, we get 15. F of 3 equals 15. So let's see what this looks like if we have a different function. So now we're going to find f of 1.2 if f of y equals 3y plus 7. F of 1.2, we're going to find f of 1.2 if f of y equals 3y plus 7. So that means that since these are in the same place inside the parentheses, this 1.2 is what we're going to plug in for y. Since that's our variable here and here, we're going to take this 1.2 and we're going to substitute it in for both of those. So we have f of 1.2 equals 3 times, instead of saying y, we're going to substitute in 1.2 plus 7. So 3 times 1.2 is 3.6 plus 7 is going to give us an answer of 10.6. So if the number is inside the parentheses, it is going to get plugged in for the variable that's in the parentheses here, and then obviously in the equation as well, right? The other thing that we can do is kind of working backwards from that, meaning we're going to find the x values, or it doesn't always have to be x, but find the x values. So for these, it says find the x value for f of x equals 2x minus 7 if f of x equals 3. So this f of x is the same as this f of x over here. This is not inside the parentheses like it just was before. Since f of x and f of x have to be the same thing, that means that we can substitute this 3 in the place of that entire f of x. So we're going to have 3 equals 2x minus 7, or you technically could do 2x minus 7 equals 3. You could very well do that. And so now we have a two-step equation to solve. So we're going to add 7 to both sides. And then we would divide by 2. And we're going to get that x equals 5. And it did say find the x values. So that's what we did. We solved and we found what x equals in this. So x equals 5 is our answer. Here they told us f of x equals 2x minus 7 and f of x equals 3. So we can take that and substitute it in for that entire f of x. So let's look at one more of these. So we're going to find the x value for f of x equals 1/4 x plus 3 if f of x equals 1. Since this f of x is the same as this f of x, that 1 is not in the parentheses here, so we're not substituting it in for this x. We're replacing this entire f of x with that 1. Okay, we're substituting. So we're going to have 1 equals 1/4 x plus 3. Ultimately, what we're doing here is we're just setting both of those equal to each other and then solving. So we would divide by 3. And negative 2 would equal 1/4 x. To get rid of this multiplying by 1/4, you could divide by 1/4 on both sides, but that's the same thing as just multiplying by 4. So we're going to multiply by 4 on both sides. And we would get that x would equal -8. Okay, and you could also, I didn't talk about this before, but you could also check these by taking the -8, plugging it in for x, and making sure that it gives you 1 back out. Or taking 5, plugging it in here. So 2 times 5 is 10, minus 7 is 3. You can check these answers that way as well.